Minnesota is such an interesting team in college football, not just because PJ Fleck and his personality, but because of their ability to overachieve and exceed expectations. We're going to talk about 10 guys today for the Minnesota Golden Gophers and what they can do to continue that trend, and also talk about what expectations might be this year. We'll start with a transfer in Corey Grooms. One of the biggest things that Minnesota did was they went out and got plenty of talent to replace some of the losses they sustained. And Corey Grooms is one of those guys. The Western Michigan connection continues for PJ Fleck. Had a solid season, 814 yards and 5 touchdowns for a Western Michigan team that also found themselves overachieving at times. Brings plenty of experience to the Golden Gophers passing attack. And it'll be interesting to see what they can do. This is a group that finished 116th in passing yards last year. And with a new quarterback coming into the picture, it'll be interesting to see what this group can do for him to help elevate this team. This is a team that I think everybody still expects to finish maybe 6-6, kind of go right down the middle. So overachieving is the goal once again. Another player they bring in from Western Michigan is Sean Tyler. Originally committed to Oklahoma State when he hit the transfer portal, he decided to join Fleck and this offense. He could be the starting running back this year. So that'll be a thing to keep an eye on. And he's a proven commodity from Western Michigan with over 2,800 yards and 23 touchdowns in his career. He's obviously explosive enough to get Power 5 attention. Oklahoma State really wanted him. He had a couple other offers and ultimately decided that the Gophers are the place to be. You look at what Mo Ibrahim did last year, Trey Potts, and it's easy to see why this is an attractive place to be for running backs. And that's something that used to be the case for Minnesota back in the day when Marion Barber and Lawrence Maroney were around. And now they're hoping to bring that back and continue that tradition. The offense is full of playmakers, and it'll be fun to see who steps up in some of these bigger roles. Daniel Jackson is also back, and he could take a step forward. Now, Daniel Jackson was a player who I wasn't super familiar with and didn't expect a ton from last year. But that obviously has changed. He averaged 15 yards per catch, 557 yards, 5 touchdowns. He's a good playmaker for the Gophers. He's going to be a reliable target, has plenty of experience in this offense. So that'll be interesting to see what he can do to be able to help elevate this team. Because again, the talent on this team is plentiful. I think that you're still looking at a very good Gophers team. It's just a matter of how do they get everybody up to speed? Is this a young group that needs time, or are they going to overachieve once again? Another player they bring in from the transfer portal is Elijah Spencer from Charlotte. At 6'2", 200 pounds, he has good size, and a lot of people believe he is going to be the wide receiver one for Minnesota in 2023. It's easy to see why when you watch the film, you go back, there's a reason why he had 943 yards, 16 and a half yards per catch, and 9 touchdowns. He knows what to do when the ball is in the air. He knows how to get open. And now it's just a matter of adapting to the Power Five level of competition. So, can he make that transition? Can he make life better for his quarterback? We've seen him do that with Charlotte, a program that didn't really have much stability at quarterback for a while, and the talent level was definitely not what it is at Minnesota. So it'll be interesting to see what he can get out of this experience. And as a junior, we should expect to see him, unless he has a monster year and departs, we should expect to see him again in 2024. The defense deserves a lot of love too. This is a defense that overachieved significantly under Joe Rossi. You look at what this team has been about. And I think the offense gets a lot of credit and Fleck gets a lot of the attention, but it's actually his defense that's really exciting to watch. This is a team that finished fourth in scoring defense. That's right, fourth. Minnesota finished fourth in scoring defense. They finished ninth in yards allowed, 21st in yards per play. This is a group that simply did not give up a lot. They were a big reason why they were in games. They were a big reason why they won football games, and that should continue. Cody Lindeberg comes back after a pretty solid season and should take a step forward as a leader and as a contributor. Now, you'd like to see this defense become more disruptive. Now, whether or not that's actually going to happen, maybe that's not the philosophy. Maybe it's more of a bend don't break, just keep everything in front of you. And with the talent they're going to face, that's not necessarily a bad plan. This is a group that maybe doesn't have the most talented players on the defensive side of the ball. Although the guys we're going to talk about today, including Lindeberg, maybe go against that. This is a group that is tough to beat. They play really sound football. They're not going to rely on one player to carry them. They will rely on the unit as a whole. And that's a big thing with flex culture. They want guys to buy in because if they don't have everybody bought in, they get exposed. And if everybody does buy in, you see results like last year and even the year before. You saw some of those times where Minnesota just wouldn't give up anything. They would not break. They refused to quit. And it's really tough to beat an entire unit instead of working against 11 individuals. The guy that everybody has their eyes on this year is Ethan McManus. The Greek rifle comes in at 6'4", 215 pounds. So you're going to see a much bigger presence at the quarterback position. Learning from Tanner Morgan was one of the best things for him. And we saw what he could do in his limited time last year. You saw the talent, the arm talent. There's a couple of throws that you can go back and watch for McManus, and you see the arm talent. You see the potential, and you see what this offense can be. The schedule is just really going to be the question. What do they do in a schedule that features Nebraska right away off the bat, and you also have a trip to North Carolina and Northwestern? That would be a little bit different of experience, but North Carolina with Drake May and that offense will be really tough. You also get Louisiana, who's an underrated Group of Five program. You have to play Michigan and Michigan State and Ohio State in your crossover games, and obviously the Big Ten West. So that is going to be something to keep an eye on. And maybe 2024 is the year that we start taking a look at the Gophers as a potential contender. Maybe we will see. And another player to keep an eye on is Justin Wally. He has NFL future. He has the ability to be a shutdown corner. And that's really exciting for, again, this defense, who's extremely underrated. If they're able to continue taking steps forward and continue to overachieve playing as a unit, this will be a tough group to face, a tough group to beat. And Justin Wally is one of those players that you could see playing in the future in the NFL. You've seen some really talented players in the secondary for Minnesota play in the NFL, and it feels like Wally is just the next in that line. A player that we were surprised to see come back is Chris Ottman-Bell. Didn't have the greatest production last year, but an injury obviously limited what he could do, and he is back for another season. When you looked at the 2019 season, when it was Rashad Bateman and Tyler Johnson, Chris Bell flashed at times and showed that he could be a dangerous weapon, and he's been doing that even since that season. Now he's back to be a veteran presence to help the other guys get up to speed, but also prove that he's still got something left in the tank. If he's able to do that, I really like what Minnesota could do in terms of overachieving, in terms of exceeding expectations. And this passing attack could take a step forward quicker than a lot of people expect. Who that also helps is the secondary. We already talked about Justin Wally. He's going to face plenty of talent. Another Newman comes back as well, and he has the potential to be a first round pick. A lot of people were really excited about his skill set, what he can do. And he has good size at 6'2, 210 pounds. He's exactly what the NFL is looking for. The production is there as well. Extremely productive ball hawk who, when you look at what Antoine Winfield did for the Gophers back in the day, Tyler Newman is right up there with him and could be just the next guy to enter the NFL draft and be a talented player that Minnesota Gophers were able to produce. Another player that fits in that category on the offensive side of the ball is Brevin Spann Ford, 6'7", 270 pounds. Could be a focal point of this offense this year because of his size, because of his athleticism. If you have not watched film on Brevin Spann Ford, I highly recommend it. He is a extremely athletic player at tight end, someone who can be an explosive weapon for this offense and someone who could take this offense to the next level. And after that, you're going to the NFL where you're going to do some damage and people are going to be coveting your services. Minnesota has talent to be excited about. I don't think you can look at this roster and think this is boring. I don't think that you can look at this roster and think that they're not going to be a good team. It's just a matter of how do they handle a tough schedule? You're facing two teams that played in the playoff last year. You look at a North Carolina team that's a top 25 team. Iowa's tough. Illinois is tough. Purdue is tough. Wisconsin's tough. You have a very difficult schedule. It's just a matter of how many games can you win? Can you pull off a couple upsets? And then how do you build towards 2024 to make a serious run with some more talent and more experience for these young guys?